listening to the Medic Materials Podcast, hosted by Mike Turek, Emily Yates, Kelsey Coons, and Gerard Cuomo. All are current EMS providers and educators with a combined 30 years experience. Each month, we discuss EMS news, medical science, and review actual EMS calls, bringing many educational opportunities to the listener. Portions of the calls have been altered to protect the privacy and identity of all involved.
Hello and welcome everyone back to the Medic Materials Podcast. So I heard an ugh, and you know what I'm starting to realize? Like it's been in there forever, but now I'm starting to hear it. Is when Gerard's like, Mike Turek, Gerard Cuomo, Emily Yates, and Kelsey Coons.
Oh great! Now I have to.
Yeah, you definitely like over enunciate my name, but I just figured it's because it's the last name.
It's because it's two k sounds. You know, it's like I don't know.
Yeah,
It's hilarious. Yeah, it's hilarious. I mean, it sounds great, but it's hilarious that now I'm starting to pick that up, and it's like, oh yeah, Kelsey Coons.
All right, well.
It's all right, Gerard. You're just gonna hand over the new recording to Emily, and we're gonna get podcast.
There we go.
Again.
Nope.
Perfect.
Never again.
You're listening to the Medic Materials Podcast.
Podcast.
Nope.
That's all right.
It's a wicked smart podcast.
We're just gonna have Kelsey do it because she seems to be the only one
Shout
that
out
can
to
do
my
it.
homies in Southie.
Yeah. Maybe that's what we should do. Just hand it over to Kelsey. Right? She could do all of the over-reading.
Right in. Oh, we didn't know she was from Boston. No, she's not.
Nope.
Oh, fabulous. So, guys, if you
go. Excise that picture and put that in, by the way. I just sent it to you.
Oh, yes, you did.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, if you listen to last episode, it was one of our longer episodes. However, as I said in the end of it, our conversation that we were having was, one that needs to be had, I think, more frequently. I think there's a lot of people that, have the conversations in the back of bays when they're frustrated with how EMS works and, they're not in a position where they can change much. This gives a platform, like, we're now really, really close. Like we're 9,950 some odd downloads of this show. So like, the 10,000 download mark is humongous, but think about that reach. Like we have global reach, we have international reach with this show. And I know, like,
so would you say we have a reach around?
Yeah, right?
You would.
So like,
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You would think that some of the ideas that we, talk about on this show get to somewhere. Whether they're ever instituted, that would be something that I would love to know. But, maybe somebody's sitting there going, in an administrative role or in a board member role or something where they could be like, yeah, that makes total sense. Like, maybe I should look into this going forward in the future, because we lay out a lot of things that are very unpopular to talk about on this show, especially with admin, I'm sure there are admins that hear about what we say and they're like, fuck those guys. Mm-hmm. Well, then change what we're doing.
Right.
Like, change the direction of the monstrosity that is EMS business. Like, I did a whole presentation on EMS culture in the last conference that I went to, solely because we need it, and it was funny. And I don't know if I said this out loud, but like I did two presentations in that conference. The first one was just an airway presentation that had like 45 people in it. I did the culture one and there was 7. And that was completely and utterly expected by me. Mm-hmm. I figured, maybe I'll have less. I thought 7 was like, wow, I pulled a crowd.
Right.
Like, I thought this was like, damn,
Famous.
seriously. And, you know, because it was a conference where I'm not really known, you know, like nobody's like, oh, that's Turk, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'll go out and see him. No, it was just, we're going to talk about business and different things that we could do as EMS in our business to change the way we run. And there were a couple administrators there. There were a couple of board members there. And they all were like, you know, one of them came up in particular and they were like, you know, I thought I was crazy. And I was like, what do you mean? And they were like, we started implementing some of these things that you were talking about a few years ago, and everybody was just like, bash, 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 bash.
Yep.
And we thought about like reverting, and I'm like, don't revert. Like, this is the future. Don't let them
Bash you down.
bash you down. You are on
Hold
the
the
right
line.
track. Hold that line. Exactly.
Yeah,
Hold
yeah.
that line. And I think it's going to take a lot more EMS professionals to be brave in an administrative spot to start rocking the boat. And ultimately, that's what we're going to talk about today. I kind of had a discussion planned that was going to go in a little bit different direction than what Gerard put us on, but I think ultimately they're going to tie together, and we're going to talk about both throughout
I mean, the
today.
thing that we put up last time and people are probably still asleep from?
I don't think they're still asleep. I think that was a riveting episode. There was a lot to talk about in that episode.
Yeah, I didn't realize how much time had passed. I was like, holy fuck.
Yeah, but that's okay.
I got a piss.
Same.
It is what it is. So, Kelsey, let's get your rig check out of the way, and then we'll start.
So guys, the first thing that we're going to ask of you is to share our Facebook and Instagram posts. If you have any more content that you want to see or new ideas, we're definitely open to the idea, especially like, you know, my personal favorite is Friday Trivia. Just kind of keeps like, you know, maybe something I do know, maybe something I don't know. And just basically keeps like, you know, even just scrolling through social media on maybe downtime at work, when I'm at work on Friday, well, that pops my head in just a little bit more that, you know, always be keeping in mind on continuous education. So if you have something that you want to know or want to see, definitely let us know, but we really are asking you to help us spread our EMS education and help share medic materials just by sharing any of the posts that you love that you want to continue seeing. We're also going to be shouting out our listeners in Idaho and Taiwan today, so thank you guys for listening and supporting us.
Woo. Potatoes.
Right.
Potatoes, and what does Taiwan produce? Other than like Hyundai.
Electronics. Lots of electronics.
Yeah. That's
So they're supporting the science project with the potatoes to light up a light bulb and actually making electronics to light up a light bulb.
There you go.
bingo.
Well played. Well
Yeah.
paired together.
That's
They're also
perfect.
freedom-loving people, so they're good people.
Yep. I love getting like when I'm looking at the map. This is ultimately my secret on how I pick these for Kelsey. I go, okay, I'm looking at the map. What are the most two opposite places?
Right.
Like, I'll pick like Florida and then like Egypt.
Right.
something completely opposite, because it's like, what does Idaho have anything to do with Taiwan?
Well, we made
Right.
a connection. Joke's on you.
Yep, joke's on me. So guys,
Shout out to East Timor.
so I posed to you guys. So in case those that weren't, listening the last episode, it
Do
was
better.
It was right.
First
It was our longest episode, in encroaching the 90-minute mark. But again, it was really good information, and we started talking all about like where our culture went wrong in producing, and I would say protecting and creating a lazy EMS professional. Whether that be, through they just look at calls and go, back, I don't got to do shit. Or,
Oh my God, somebody called.
right. Or, they look at it as, oh my God, somebody called, or however they do. I want to turn that into this question. And I'm sure this will all tie through, but I want to talk specifically about the excitable provider. So,
What was that word again?
excitable?
Okay, that's not what you said, but okay.
Okay.
I heard excitable, so I don't know what you're
Oh,
doing.
I heard
Excitable.
excitable.
Excitable?
Ah,
Oh, sorry. I'll dig myself for that one. If that's what I said, I didn't mean it.
That is what you said.
I'm sorry. People are like, what? So, yeah, I want to talk about the excitable provider in that we see so often in our business the people that may be doing it for the right reasons, may be good providers, but they cannot keep a lid on their, anxiety and their, emotional connection to the call. In that, like, you hear a bad call go out on a radio, right? And you're listening to dispatch. And next thing, the ambulance is answering up, and they sound like they're freaking out just driving there, right? And then you get there, and they're freaking out when they're on scene, and then they get the patient in the back of the ambulance. They drive freaked out all the way to the ER, and then they sit there and they're like, yeah, that was the best call ever. Like, we did great. It's like, did you?
But did you?
Right? Where do you, like, first off, where do you think this, high excitability comes from? And are we, like, what I really want to get into is, are we specifically teaching it? Or are we not teaching enough to, like, get people out of it? Because it's really hard to calm somebody down, to sit there and go, okay, you know what? Really bad things are going to happen. We're going to go lights and sirens. It's going to be chaos. We can put a lid on it and we can all just chill. But, like, you hear the people calling out on the radio. They're already freaked out. Like, that's not going to be a good scene. Mm-hmm. If they're freaking out just driving there because of whatever they heard on the radio, right? It's not going to be good. And mistakes are going to make, and are going to be made, and patient care is going to suffer ultimately. And then we just look bad because we're coming in trying to be the calm, and we're fiddle fucking with the radio because we can't even put it back in its slot because our hands are shaking. We're going crazy. We're yelling at dispatch. Where do you guys think this is all coming from? Is it the culture, or is it something else? The long pause of thought.
I'm looking at Emily.
I'm looking at you.
I mean, I can talk.
Okay, paramedic student. The floor is yours.
I feel like there's not, like, one specific thing. But I feel like, just to start, like, I feel like, you get into it because, like, oh, I want to save lives and blah, blah, blah. Or, like, think of, like, the classic fire tissue. We run in when you run out. Like, everybody has this, like, idealistic view of, like, what first responders do. And it's the same thing. Like, you go through medic school and, like, they give you the hardest of the hardest scenarios. And I get it. You have to be prepared for those. And then you get into your ride time and it's like, wow, this is an ALS light call. Like, they need a line and I'm just here just in case. Like, so I feel like a lot of it is, like, we all have this idealistic view going into things. And, like, even, you've been an EMT for 15 years and now I'm going to go be a paramedic. Well, paramedics get to do all this big bad stuff. And it's like, okay, cool. And then you get your ALS light call. So, like, there's this view of what everything should be when those, your MCIs, your really sick patients are your 1 in 10, your 1 in 100 versus your every single call. And, you could be the biggest black cloud in the world and every patient you walk in and is on the verge of dying. And I'm really sorry for you because you don't even get a chance to send anything BLS.
Yeah, Gerard.
But we do have that idealistic view of, like, we're going to be doing all this life-saving stuff. And then I almost feel like it's like a pent up, like, oh, I've picked up an old lady 10 times and now I'm finally going to that really, really bad diff breather. And it's like, oh my God, like, this is it. This is my chance. This is what I've been training for.
I could see that point of view.
Yeah, I can too.
That really does make sense. And, you have to fault the education department on that. Like, you have to fault the way we
But
we
you
teach.
also can't, because if you don't train for those high level scenarios, then the minute you get one, your providers are all going to fall flat on their face.
No. I'm saying,
and that's exactly what ride time is for, is to do all those like ALS light calls, the boring, quote unquote boring calls, ones that you don't deem an emergency, but that patient did.
Right, but at the same time, do we sufficiently practice the BLS to BLS light call, like ALS light call, whatever? Or do we always practice they are dying, right? Because even at the BLS level, right, you think about the trauma assessment, right? They have things in there that the BLS provider can aid with but not fix. Flailed chests, right? Tracheal deviations. And then they'll have like a broken leg. Okay, cool. We can bag, we can't dart, and we can splint. Okay, cool. But is that successfully helping the BLS provider? Because every trauma assessment is now life or death to them. Because we have given them 50 trauma assessments that are all, I need a paramedic to just get through this because I can't do anything life-saving. When we look at medical calls, right? What's the first? I need a paramedic. Why? Because their sugar is 12 or their sugar's 400. I can't fix that, right? Oh, hey, they're really bad diff breather. I can give an albuterol treatment, but they're not getting any better. So I need a paramedic to do X, Y, and Z. Or, hey, we're giving them a chest pain and it's a STEMI, but they just don't know it's a STEMI. So they give aspirin and nitro. And it's like, the only things that we do, even at the BLS level, is train them specifically for the 1 in 100 life-saving actual call.
Right.
That we don't train them for, my chest is kind of hurting. I might have overdone it. Whatever. Oh, hey, I pulled a chest muscle. Like, whatever. We don't train for that.
Right.
We train specifically to fit the narrative that we are giving in lecture. That, like, we're learning about ACS. So now we're lab instructing towards ACLS, right? To reinforce what the lecture is. But we're not lecturing about, hey, grandma's going to call you 16 times in a year because she's got chest pain from anxiety. And all you need to do is get her to slow down your breathing, get her to talk to you, make her some breakfast, and then she'll sign off and be completely okay. We don't.
But also, I would like to rebuttal that with, if you continuously give people an easy out, knowing the people we work with and the people that gravitate towards this career field, if you give people an easy out, they will take it.
I'm not saying
70% of the time.
But I'm not saying give them an easy out. I'm saying incorporate it, right? I'm not saying give them, don't focus
but how many
on the
providers
life-saving
specifically
stuff.
using your anxiety case are like, oh, well, it's just anxiety.
Again,
And then they have a massive STEMI.
But part of that is I think that you need to do a better job teaching your everyday assessment. My medical assessment is going to be the same it's going to start the same on every single patient until I can identify something to guide my treatment plan.
Yeah.
So like, I kind of agree with him in the fact that like, oh, okay, well, you have a chest pain. Well, all the chest pains in EMT class are crushing that go radiate down the left arm. They're all diaphoretic and pale. They all have some shortness of breath. But like, what about the 50-year-old that has chest pain that comes and goes? They were walking the dog and it was there, but now it's not. And how many BLS providers are afraid to pull the trigger on like aspirin or assist with their nitro because that's not a scenario that they're familiar with?
Right. And that's what I'm saying in the fact that we have to get better in our instruction, in that we need to get away from cookie cutter. Mm-hmm. We need to get away from, these are the only signs and symptoms you will ever see. Just because the lecture backs it up doesn't mean that is what, as Gerard always puts, the realville is going to give you. Like, we can say all day long, oh, hey, your female patients are going to present this way in a cardiac case. But
they're all going to have belly pain.
Right.
Or maybe they have belly pain for a GI issue.
Right.
Right. And I think it also goes back to another thing we've talked about, many times, and that is, we bill this as this, life-saving, save a life every day, type of career, and you come in with that expectation, and then we train them to have that expectation along with it, and we don't say, hey, you know what, we basically are going to do a lot of picking up, putting down, and taking people to hospitals that, sometimes they need it, sometimes they don't, but, yeah, the rare occasion that, what you do is going to make a difference is, it's something we train for all the time, which you have to, because when that happens, yeah, you want things to be automatic. You don't want to have to sit and think about shit. But yeah, it's kind of like we're our own worst enemy right from the get-go when people first walk in and say, I want to be an EMT.
Yeah, it's almost like I think you're right in the fact that we have, we've talked about that mentality of changing the way we market EMS, right? It's the same thing with fire, Oh man, you're going to be a fireman. You're going to be fighting all these. No, you're not. Like, you're not going to be fighting fires all that often.
But
right?
look at how many people go into like career fire and then they bitch about doing the EMS side of it. And like, that's the majority of your job.
Yep.
So you marketed that to going into fighting all these great fires, and like you're going to do that 5% of the time, and then you're going to bitch the other 95% of the time.
Right. And
yeah, I literally have 3 friends that, they went paid fire, and if you ask them, they'll be honest with you, that they'll tell you straight up, I fucking hate EMS. I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But they're paramedics.
Exactly.
Right. But at the same point, with the way science and technology are, fires are going down every year. So every year they're going to get less and less and less. And they're going to be going to fire alarm activations with no fire. And they're going to be going to more medical calls because the doors have to stay open. And that's the only way that these fire departments are going to make money, is they're going to be doing EMS calls.
Right. And there's that whole accountability thing where, the corporate culture of, I would say I'm not going to lump everybody in because I don't know, everybody's system, but the systems that people that I know and are, I'm friends with, that work in these paid fire departments, their corporate culture is one of like no accountability for providing the shittiest fucking care on earth. Nobody cares. They get away with everything. And they'll tell you straight up, like, yeah, fucking, I just fucking wrote that shit in, fucking, yeah, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do anything.
Yep.
And yeah, there has to be something to say about, forcing someone to do a job they don't want to do, especially when it comes to a job that involves, life and death kind of stuff.
But is it, like, we all, again, is it on the provider? And I think this comes to our culture as well, right? If we hate what we do, why are we still doing it? Right? Is it easier for us as a culture of moaning and complaining about everything? Right? We moan and complain literally about everything in EMS because it's built into the culture, right? We don't have a culture of, okay, bitch and moan outside of work. You bitch and moan while you're at work about work, right? Because that's your downtime, right? Instead of doing the CME on the computer that's going to make you smarter and better, you're going to sit in the bay and you're going to bitch and moan about the call that somebody else did 3 weeks ago that you could have done better, but you weren't there to do it better because everyone else sucks and you're the best. That's what we do.
Well, I mean, to a certain extent, I think it's just the way human nature is. Because, I mean, I've been in a career field where the same thing. We'll bitch and complain about everything. Just people bitch and complain. That's what we do.
Understandable,
and,
but at the same point, do we heighten this because of the field that we're in? Like everybody in EMS, because it's a very alpha dominated field, everyone thinks that they're the fucking GOAT, right? There's nobody that, I mean, there are people that are very humble in this business, but the vast majority think that they are the greatest of all time to ever lace up a pair of EMS boots and provide care, whether they're the shittiest or whatever. But like, you could sit there and look at all of the alpha dominated industries and they're all like that. Gerard, when you were a pilot, were you the GOAT?
I was God's gift to aviation.
Exactly. Right? Because it's in that profession, right? Look at cops. They're the best cop ever. Look at firemen. I'm the best fireman ever, right? These very high alpha level jobs, they come with that mentality of, I'm just the greatest ever and you can't touch me.
But I can also say that, even in my former life, the level of bitching and complaining is about on par with where we're at in EMS.
Yeah.
If you ever want to find out the truth, you can ask a mechanic, how much do pilots bitch and complain about stuff?
Yep.
And, get out a pen and, free up some time because you're going to be there a while.
But I wonder how often other professions are not so much complaining, because I think that Gerard hit that it's kind of universal, but like, how often does the like accountant that's sitting at the Walmart during tax season go, I'm the fucking best accountant ever? Like, I wonder, like, how they do that. Like, my dad was a programmer for IBM for 37 years, right? He led multi-$100 million operations for mainframes for all different sorts of, like, companies, countries, like, humongous contracts. And he would be like, yeah, I don't fucking know everything. Like, that's why I have people. He didn't sit around going, yep, I'm the best computer programmer ever. Well, is it a, do you see that culture in other things? I would be really intrigued to see that.
But look at that culture in other healthcare fields. Like, we all know a dickbag doctor, but do you think that most doctors are like, I'm the best doctor in the world? No.
Yeah.
Like, that is not true. Look at nurses. Sure, you get some that are like, oh, well, I'm totally better than you. But if you look at a nurse to another nurse.
But where are they? They're in those alpha level positions. They're in the ICU, they're in the ER, they're in the OR.
But even
that's
in the
typically
ER,
where you see all of the catty, nurse and doctors playing like, I'm better than everyone else. You don't see the podiatrist sitting there, with his family practice going, I'm the best.
But even if you look at the ER versus EMS, like, it's way more prominent in EMS. Where did we get that in our heads?
Right.
That we're God's gift to earth.
I feel like this also goes back to, like, the discussion we had on the last episode where we were like, we're all working too many hours, blah, blah, blah. Like, whether it's right or not, people that work in EMS generally tend to eat, sleep, breathe EMS. They go from one job to sleeping at the station because there's not enough time between that job and coming in at 6 a.m. for the next job. Yeah, and it's almost like, I wonder if you think you are God's gift to EMS because you don't know anything else. Because you're an accountant, you work your 9 to 5, you go home. You have something else. When that's all you've got, I mean, you can be the best tap dancer in the world, but if you work EMS, nobody knows.
Well, see, I would even go a step further and say I think it's the lack of accountability. I think in the other fields, like, doctors, they're held to account. Mm-hmm. There's peer review, there's stuff like that. Same with nurses. For EMS, there's no accountability. It's you can be the shittiest fucking asshole, do the shittiest job. You can be like the one we talked about the last call. Just basically BLS a call in as a paramedic and then come back and no one's gonna say, hey, you're a fucking moron.
Right.
You're gonna come back and they're gonna go, okay, great, here's another call for you, and we'll see you next week.
And picture that in QI when you get a QI flag and they're like, oh, this fucking dickbag flagged me. Like, what?
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
How dare you look at me and
question
go, right, and question my...
Even when I used to do QI on a provider level, and just to say something like, hey, I see you did this, like, cool thought process, what were you thinking? Just because I was thinking something else, and I'm truly curious what you were thinking.
Right.
And boom, you're attacked.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
let's be honest,
unbelievable.
What repercussion is there for QA/QI? I mean, it's...
Nothing.
That's pretty much it.
It's a useless
handled
job.
via email discussion.
Right.
Done.
Right.
You killed this patient. You were on scene for 20 minutes. You didn't do a damn thing. patient died on you. What's going on? Well, it is what it is. Send.
Not even that. Okay.
You know.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Period.
Yeah.
Okay. Period. Whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, and again, is it the expectation, right? So like we said, I think literally in an epiphany moment is everything come down to expectation, right? So we set as a industry, we have set the expectation that we want alpha providers, right? We want the grizzled people that can handle all of these traumas and nastiness and the worst calls you'll ever see in your entire life. We want those people. And then we give these grizzled people hand-holding with grandma.
Right.
And it's like, well, that wasn't the expectation. Go fuck yourselves. I didn't sign up for that. I signed up to do shit that I see on Lone Star 911. Like,
You mean real life is not Chicago Fire?
right. Like, I want to fucking, crike somebody with a pen. That's what I want to do. Right? Be that hero. So we've set that expectation in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Right? But we've also, at an agency level, we've set the expectation to, great, you're hired. Crickets after that.
Now what? Right.
No.
Where's the investment? The investment for EMS is not just cash flow. Like seeing somebody that is struggling or excitable or whatever, you need to intervene as a manager, as an agency, and go, hey, is there something going on at home? I've seen a change, like your care level's gone down, something going on at home that we can help you with.
Yeah, like how can we help?
Right. Is it mental? Are you just struggling with some? Can we sit you down with the doc and our education guy and go over some stuff? Like, everyone thinks that education is punitive in EMS.
Oh, it drives me insane.
Why? And we've set that expectation.
Yeah.
I do want to point out,
argue
like,
that.
I mean, we all suck as individuals at holding ourselves accountable. And, like, in your idea, you want administration to reach out. But, like, sure, some smaller agencies, like, one agency I work at, I have dinner with my boss every Tuesday night that I work a shift. And, like, how frequent does that happen? Because I don't think it's more administration reaching out and being like, hey, I noticed that, something's been going on. Because they might have 100 providers they're in charge of, and no offense, like that one little minor detail that is your world but you're shoving down, and it's like a little thing, like, I don't know, maybe you didn't say good morning that morning, okay, whatever, or you came in 5 minutes late. They might not notice that sort of thing, but like, we work together every day. When you start having a set partner, you do notice that thing. So yeah, it might not be administration reaching out, but we as providers should reach out to our partners or our coworkers, because we're going to notice that way before it becomes a big enough issue for administration to.
Do we like our partners enough to do that, though? Like, that's the thing. Like, how many partners truly love working together? Like, I could say that the best partner I've ever had in my entire life is Emily's husband, Corey.
Mine too.
Like, literally.
Yeah, but
The best partner
even
I have
if
ever
you
had.
don't like them, it's not for your benefit. I don't, sure,
But
they
nobody-
might be going through something, but you're also in, doing patient care and everything, and something like they're having a bad day and you're in the back could end up in an ambulance accident that kills you, the patient, and your partner. So it might make you slightly uncomfortable, and you might not necessarily like them, but it's not necessarily a bad thing to say something.
So this kind of just popped into my head thinking about, it's not just you. And not to like completely rewrite this subject, but have we as an industry redefined patience? And what I mean by that is, have we dehumanized the patient
Yeah.
into just,
Oh, fuck yeah.
yep, whatever.
Carcass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like body, No soul, not a person. It's just a run. It's just a job.
Yes.
It's a bill, like whatever.
Well, and I think that's medicine as a whole, though. I mean, how many patients do we get that the doctor's like, that they're like, yeah, my doctor, didn't have time to explain this to me.
Yep. I'm not,
Again,
I'm
we're
not
in a
saying it's
unique
specifically
spot
us.
where we get one-on-one patient time, and, you get that new COPD who calls because she's slightly out of breath and she doesn't know how to turn her new O2 tank that they gave her on. And we get that opportunity to have that one-on-one contact with these people and actually explain the things that nobody else, can make time for, whether it's right or wrong.
But that's unique, right?
Mhm. That's what
No
makes EMS
other business in medicine has that aspect of their job. You don't see, the hospitals running around one-on-one for an hour here and there doing whatever. We are the only medical job that does that. Why aren't we looking at that and going, that's where our future is?
Exactly.
Like looking at that and going, you know what? That is the biggest positive that anyone in the history of jobs could have ever thrown at EMS. Let's take it.
I will throw
and run with
your father-in-law under the bus for this one. We had just had a discussion actually the other day, and he basically was like, what you tell the doctor dictates their treatment plan. Because you are the only person, you and an EMT or whatever system you're working in are the only people that get to spend, even if you're, say at a super busy city agency where you're 5 minutes from the hospital, you're still probably going to spend anywhere between 5 and 15 minutes. That's still 3 more minutes at 5 minutes that the doctor was going to spend. We get to dictate when we drop people off the entire outcome of what their treatment plan is just based on how we turn patients over and what we did during our care.
Yeah, and do you really think that they're going to take a patient seriously when you're like, it was supposed to be ALS, but I just brought it in, but I didn't really do anything.
Right.
Do you think that they're now going to take that seriously, or are they going to take it more seriously when you come in prepared, when you come in knowledgeable, when you're when you don't look like a fucking schlub at 3 o'clock in the morning with your boots all undone and your pants untucked and fuck you look? Like, I'm sorry, the doctors don't look like that at 3 a.m. Why do you?
Yeah.
Your accountant, if they met you at 3 o'clock in the morning, they wouldn't look like that.
Right.
Why do you? So, it doesn't make a goddamn bit of sense to me.
And I think you just hit on something that I hadn't even thought about until just now, and I don't think really anyone's really thought about, or maybe they have. I don't know. You know me, I'm in my own little world, but how we dress. I mean, we're wearing fucking, we call them EMS pants, but they're BDUs. We wear fucking, EMS boots, but they're tactical boots. We wear all this tactical shit like we're going to a fucking, combat zone when we're going into fucking grandma's house to, get her off the floor. Do you really need fucking combat boots to do that?
Yeah.
Do you really need to dress that way? Or maybe we need to wear something a little more appropriate for, a person practicing medicine.
So when
something to think about.
So okay, I'm gonna go down this rabbit hole because I'm intrigued now. He made me intrigued. I'm going.
I didn't think about it until just now when you were talking about boots undone and pants, and I'm just like, why the fuck are we wearing that shit anyway?
But it's something to think about because again, that's the norm. That's the standard, right? That's just what you either wear fireman's clothes or you wear like the straight leg dicky pants. Or with a button down or a t-shirt or whatever, which I hate t-shirts, but whatever. But yeah, like you look at the origins of ambulances and they wore the white suits, the white scrub suits, and where did the change? I honestly don't know. Where did the change happen that we went to all of the tactical look? Because honestly, unless you are a fucking whacker, you are not using any of the pockets that you have in your fucking
for real,
like tactical cargo EMS pants that they charge you $70
in those
for.
pockets.
I was
Thank you
say,
very much.
I use every one of those pockets. Thank you.
Like I could see my wife My wife uses all of her aviation pockets. They're designed for specific things. But like she literally, as the base lead, had to just order uniforms, like new flight suits for a couple of new people coming into her base. And it's a fucking process. Like, it's not just, yep, I want a size large, this whatever tall flight suit. It's like, okay, well, do you want this pocket? And then they go to the provider. Yeah, I would like the radio pocket on the side. Okay, cool. Then they have to stitch that in. Okay, do you want this pocket? No, I don't need that pocket. Okay, do you want this pocket? Like, it's specific to you and what you want and how you're going to use it. So you use all of them.
Right.
Right.
I don't utilize any of my pockets. My wallet's in there, and my keys dangle, and I have my knife, and that's it. It's literally all I carry.
I don't even have a knife.
But it's like, why
I might have a pen, I have keys, and I have a wallet.
Yeah.
That's about it.
You know? So yeah, why couldn't we transition to a different look? I would still keep the appropriate footwear. I don't know if it has to be big, bulky EMS boots, but why can't we wear like a nice pair of Merrells?
Right.
A nice,
nice
comfortable pair of black Merrells.
Yeah.
They're still going to protect you on a scene. They're still not going to let anything in. They're waterproof. They're fuck ton more comfortable.
Oh, yeah.
Why do we have to wear Bates? Why do we have to wear Rockies or 911s or whatever? You can get a black pair of Merrells and they look just as professional.
I mean, who says you do have to wear boots?
But that's it. Like, there are a lot of company policies that specifically
you can't wear
say
Crocs.
Black leather boots.
Watch your mouth.
I was just going to say, we know somebody who
what if I
has.
plug the holes in the Crocs? They'd be waterproof.
You'd still
that's a good point.
Yep. But that's it. Like,
And they're high visibility.
Yep. They are, depending on what color you buy.
That's right.
But yeah, I mean, it's something to think about. I would be interested to see what the masses would come up with for a different uniform. I think I'm going to make that into a post just to see what people would put out, because it would I'm not wearing scrubs. I refuse to wear scrubs.
Oh, they're like PJs.
Nope. I've worn them. I've never liked the fit of them. I wouldn't do it. However,
I like scrubs. I feel like they're just so soft and woo, I can move wherever.
That doesn't.
There's plenty of ballroom.
That's true. That doesn't mean that I wouldn't wear something else, though. Good thoughts, Gerard. I like it.
Well, like for me, I've always the couple of places that I worked that had they didn't wear the starched freaking police shirts and that stuff, but had a nice looking polo with some embroidery on it. You still people who wore the tactical stuff, but I mean, it's there's got to be something that we can dress more appropriate to the job we do. Is there going to be a time where you have to crawl under a fucking tractor trailer? Yeah, but that's not every fucking day.
Right. And that comes down to the point of, again, the expectation of EMS as a culture needs to change to say, hey, you know what? Times have changed. Medicine's changed. We're not doing, the fact that ambulances are still called rescue squads, we don't rescue a fucking soul. Why are we fucking naming ourselves ABC Rescue Squad? Fuck off.
Yeah.
You're
Tell
not,
me how
you don't, but that's it. Why are we stuck in the archaic times of when we started? We're not a rescue squad. We're pre-hospital medical clinicians.
I mean, I was just thinking about off the top of my head, one of the agencies I worked at as an EMT, they had the more relaxed look. In fact, our shirts were green.
That's
we
green.
wore blue pants. a lighter shade of navy blue, not the, almost black navy blue. They didn't really have a boot standard, so if you wanted to wear, black nursing shoes, you could wear that too, whatever's comfortable for you. But we had extrication gear, almost like turnout gear, only not as, it's not flame retardant or anything like that.
Yep.
But in the event we had to do that day where we crawl under, a tractor trailer, yeah, it's in the back, you put it on, and off you go.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, even just with our local fire department, I got contacted by the chief one day and was like, hey, yeah, we know that you guys don't do fire. Like, my wife and I are part, but we only do medical calls. If I do 4 calls a year, that's a lot. But whatever. And
I was going to say, you do calls?
Yeah, exactly.
What?
Jess does a lot more calls than I do. Let's put it that way. So he contacts us one day and was like, yeah, so we know that you guys, like, we gave you gear, but we're going to take that gear back because now we have firemen that want to do fire stuff and, whatever. He's like, but I'm going to get you a different set of gear. It was almost like the the wildfire gear in that it was very lightweight. It had extrication protection, but it wasn't flame retardant. And that if we went to a car accident, we could stop off, we could get it, and then we could still go and provide medical care at an extrication scene. That's the kind of stuff that's like perfect. Yeah. Perfect. Because, hey, if there's no rule that says you can only wear it here, hey, cool. I'll show up in Dockers and then I'll throw that on for every call. I don't care. Why not?
Yeah. And like I said, I mean, the uniform thing is, we kind of went off, down this rabbit hole, but yeah, I mean, it's just one more thing that adds to that whole mindset. And it's like, maybe that's something to look at, even just the way we appear needs to be addressed.
Because again, we appear as that domineering alpha type of personality. And again, I don't know. I think early on that was the purpose. Like, we wanted to be these alpha, super awesome level providers. And it's like, I don't think we really need to go that route. I think now it's, do you really expect your nurse to walk up to your bedside and be like, I'm alpha nurse? Like, no, you want them to be soft and sweet. Male, female, doesn't matter. You want them to be soft, sweet, caring. Right. That's
They're
the
not walking
expectation.
up with a fat utility belt with, like 8 trauma shears, a fucking knife, and a fucking, flashlight. And no, it's...
What do we...
Yeah.
Yeah. I think looks really go a far way of bringing that expectation to our patient. What are we going to provide?
Right.
I would seriously ask. I mean, I know every system is different. Some people do more calls, some people do less. Some, maybe there's a more prevalent type of call that, requires certain stuff. But, really sit and ask yourself, like, I did it one time. When I was brand new EMT, I had the trauma shears, hanging out my pants and all the fucking, the knife on the belt and all this shit and the flashlight. And then one day I sat and I said, when's the last time I used any of those? And the answer was 0.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because if I needed trauma shears, I was usually working in a bag and there was a pair right there and I would grab it. Flashlight, never. Unless it was like a dimly lit house that I can't remember being in. I might have pulled it out once or twice. Knife, fucking never. I just never did. I had no use for it. I'm not the one that's cutting someone's, fucking, restraints out of a fucking overturned vehicle. I mean, the fire's in there doing that.
Right.
I'm waiting to receive the patient, know. So
how many times are you punching out a window?
I ended up carrying that shit. Yeah. Right. Yeah. The window punch. Right.
Why?
Yeah. Never. That's not us.
Right. Yeah, and that's I made a funny post years ago. For the first EMS week, 2020, and I was like, yeah, let's see, because I was making fun of the fact that we carry so much junk in our pockets. So I was like, unload your pockets and show me what you carry. And it was unreal what people are carrying. It is unreal. And it's like, that half of that shit's in your ambulance, right?
More than half.
IV start packs, tourniquets, this, that, the other thing. It's like, okay, the only time that I am going to sit there and go, you know what? I am going to pop on, tourniquet onto my belt or whatever is if I'm going to an active shooter situation where I know that I might actually need it. Like,
I wouldn't
otherwise,
even do that. In fact, I've been in an active shooter and I didn't do that.
you know, like,
so,
that's it.
But then you're also going to pull it out of the ambulance before you go in.
Exactly.
bingo.
Exactly.
In my pocket?
Exactly.
Fuck that.
You know?
So honestly, I mean, like literally, like, and I hate that I've detracted us onto the whole uniform thing, but yeah, I mean,
Peckerhead.
I'll have you know, maybe 2 or 3 sets of gloves that I'll stick in one pocket when I first get to work, and then that's really the only thing out of the ambulance that I put and carry on my body. The rest is in the ambulance. If I need it, I got it.
Yeah,
You know?
I have one pair of gloves. So I'm in the I used to way back. I used to put gloves in like one pocket, and there used to be like 8 pairs of gloves in one pocket. I don't do that anymore. I carry one pair of gloves, and it's the pair of gloves that I walk out of my truck with, and that's it. I don't have any in my pocket, solely because I have, like, in the fly car, I have to lift the back, you know, like, door.
Well, your gloves are right there.
And the gloves are right there. I have to grab my miner. I have to grab my ALS bag. I grab gloves, stick them in my pocket, put them on when I get in the house.
Yeah, I
But
did the same thing.
when I'm in the ambulance.
Yeah, when I was in a flight car, I did the same thing. I didn't carry anything.
But it's in, like, if I'm working in the ambulance, it's the same thing. I have to go into the back to grab my monitor. I have to go in to grab my ALS bag. I might as well just grab a pair of gloves while I'm there. Boom, done.
And for me, it's more of a fact that I know that, like, I don't know, I'm absent-minded. I might grab all my shit and then walk out and go, I forgot to grab gloves. Oh well.
Yep.
Stickiness for me.
Good thing there's probably some in your first in bag.
Yep. There's probably some in your first in bag. Exactly. Yeah. See, you don't
Yeah, there
even need
might be.
that.
I don't know.
But yeah, it's definitely
That's my EMT's job.
it's definitely something to look at. And I think ultimately it comes down to how are we positioning ourselves to create these types of providers? You know, if you are creating an environment and a expectation of, hey, you know what? We're not going to police you. We're not going to try and chill you out. We're not going to do anything. Then you get these types of providers, you know, and like, I don't want to go too long on this episode, but in kind of wrap up, where do you think the start needs to be in the, you know, huge umbrella of all of the things that we have talked about? I don't think it's one solution. I don't think it's a dozen solutions. But where can like an agency start or a provider?
Accountability.
Yeah, I agree. I would
But
put
I
it
also
in there
think
too.
that they need to to a certain extent, they need to trust their providers. I will never forget, I was at the building one day at one of my jobs, and my boss came up and told me that I needed to put my hair in a ponytail. For any female that's had their hair in a ponytail for 12 hours, you get the worst headache. So any chance you can, you take your hair out, let it go. Tones drop, you put it right back up. Mm-hmm. I've never, ever, ever gone on an EMS call with my hair down. But this day, I was sitting at the computer doing QI, and the boss came up, tapped me on the shoulder, and told me I needed to put my hair up because it was unprofessional. So to a certain extent, you need to trust your providers. Like, let me wear what I am going to need. Mm-hmm. Even if that's scrub pants for me, as long as, you know, they're not bright pink or something like that. Like, if that's the efficient way for me to work, then let me do it. Mm-hmm. I am not natural to be in these tall-ass boots. So let me find something that works for me.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I'd rather work in, like you said, like a short pair of hiking boot, you know, sneakers or whatever you want to call them, hiking shoes.
Yep.
I'd rather wear that, you know, or even nursing shoes. I've had my feet in boots almost my whole life. I don't want to be in them anymore.
They're not comfortable.
But,
no,
they're not.
They're not comfortable. You know, I think.
But I mean, just as far as where to start, I would start with the accountability of poor providers. Don't let them get away with it just because you need an ass in a seat. You know, try remediation. I'm not saying fucking just shit can everybody, but yeah, at some point, some people you can't reach. And if they're doing things over and over again that are, you know, not right, well then, you know what, man, they ain't going to get it. So don't keep rewarding their bad behavior.
Right. And, you know, I think accountability comes down to and it's kind of goes off of your point of not allowing certain people to get away with it. I'm in the boat of there needs to be a point, a come to Jesus point in EMS where we say, okay, you know what? We're not going to deal with the lazy. We're not going to deal with the unprofessional. We're not going to deal with the uneducated. We're not going to deal with these fucking yahoos. And we're going to hold them accountable. And when they continue to do it, we're going to make an example out of them. Because
like I said, I'm not saying
that shows that proves the expectation has changed.
Right.
Until you make an example of those people and management actually flips the switch and says, this is now the new expectation, nothing changes.
Right.
Because if management doesn't go, hey, you know what? We're going to shit can Turk because he sucks and we can't remediate him. But then they don't do anything to change the culture. Then they just got rid of a lazy employee, and who cares?
But how many times have you seen, like, oh, you have to get, XYZ task done, or you're not going to be on the schedule, and then, by this date, and that date comes, and they're like, oh, we can't take you off because, we don't have anybody to fill it. Like, draw the hard line and hold it.
Right.
You have to hold us accountable as your employees.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not fair.
Yeah. And, you look at EMS as a business, right? EMS is a running business. Every single agency is its own small company, corporation, not a rescue squad, corporation. And do you really think that a business outside of EMS is going to run their business like we do?
No.
Right? Maybe some of you own your own business. You volunteer on the side. You do EMS on the side because you love it. Whatever. I don't care.
Right.
A mowing business, do you think runs like this? Fuck no.
I'm pretty sure the clown will fucking shit can you if you push the wrong picture of the hamburger too many times,
Well, that's it. Like, there is no business on the face of the earth that I'm aware of that runs as idiocracy as we do. Yes, I did.
Yeah, I'm going to say I'm going to throw a flag on that one.
Nope. Made up word. You can't buzz it. Maybe that's my
So
new
there's good
out.
made up words and there's bad ones. That was a bad one.
Yeah, whatever. Wasn't it a movie? Idiocracy? That was a movie.
Idiocracy was a movie. And it's a movie
yeah.
everybody should watch.
Yeah. I knew it was something according, close to that. But yeah, so
It's got electrolytes.
It's just, it is a very frustrating thing because we could teach so much of this and we could use this platform and I could make videos and I could do presentations and whatever it might take. And I don't think that any of it would make any bit of a dent. Because the top, like the bottom up, you're not going to change until people that have the same mindset as us start taking over all of these agencies.
Yeah.
And then hold that line and don't go, oh man, running an agency is kind of really hard. And you know what? I'm going to have to work on the truck because I need to fire this person and the truck needs to run. And you know what? That's my sacrifice. But you know what? I'm going to do it this once because I really want to hire a really good person.
Well, and the sad thing is we've known, somebody who, actually gave a shit and really wanted to do things differently and really wanted to, make a difference. But because of the fucking curmudgeons that, have nowhere else to go that were above him, made his life miserable. So they ran him out. He basically said, fuck this, I'm not doing this no more.
Yeah.
And how do you blame them?
Right.
And that's a fucking problem.
And that's it. There needs to be a changing of the guard. And to people that don't look at EMS as the boys club or the Yahoo club that's just running calls, but actually a medical professional business. I cannot think of another business that runs as stupidly as we do.
Yeah, that's true.
It's amazing and sadly appalling.
It
know?
is.
And the sad
really
thing is if it did change, they'd probably make more money
Yeah,
in the long run.
fucking
Maybe in the
right
short
they
term,
would.
you might hurt a little bit, but in the long run, I mean, yeah, you're gonna run more like a smooth machine than this freaking revolving door we've got.
But I've always said from day one, like the one thing that we all bitch about in EMS, like one thing that every single person in EMS will bitch about is our pay, and we don't do a fucking thing to make it better.
Nope.
We hurt ourselves with that.
Yep. But we bitch about it a lot.
Every single day.
Yep.
Every single shift I've ever worked on EMS, somebody has bitched about the pay, but they're sitting there with their, boots untied, shirt untucked, being an asshole to a patient, being an asshole to a facility we go to. Like, why do we deserve more money for that?
Because they think we do.
For
And
what?
and that's it. That's
because you have a little bit of education.
But that's it. Like you bring up pay could be a
whole
whole other talk, but
Right.
it's all the same. It comes from the same genes. It is all, there is an expectation laid out that we are these amazing people and we do amazing things. And we take a small little itty bitty class and then we're amazing for life. And we don't need to change anything because we took that little itty bitty class that one time and now we're pretty cool. So we just say, well, we deserve it.
Because we do. Because
Why?
we're us.
Right. Because, really? Well, okay, because I'm Turek, I deserve $1 million a day.
Yeah.
Boom.
Mm.
Give it to me.
Yeah.
Fuck off. What are you going to tell me? Go fuck yourself. That's what you're going to tell me. So why is the world telling you to go fucking pound sand and not give you more pay? Because we don't deserve it.
Right.
Stop being a, I don't know. I'm not even going to go there. I couldn't tell you how many times I've had the pay conversation with providers.
Yep.
And my real attitude comes out just like it does here. And they're mortified because I'm like, this. Do you do all those? Well, no, then you don't deserve more pay.
Right.
Do those. And then maybe I'll sit there and be like, yeah, maybe I'll talk.
Yeah.
It's just that simple. Literally a couple months ago, there was an agency that was like, we deserve more pay. This is the perfect opportunity to deserve more pay because of COVID. Why? Just because you took care of some sick people that you should do all the time? What does COVID make any difference?
But then again, there was again, you're the front line warriors,
Right.
COVID commandos, and all that shit.
Yep.
You
Fuck
know?
off. If anything,
One place I actually worked at, they actually gave out these fucking pins that were like, I'm a COVID warrior. I'm like, I ain't fucking wearing that.
I would have literally given it back. Literally, I would have given it back. I would have been
dude,
like,
I threw
no.
in the fucking garbage. I was like, I ain't fucking wearing that shit.
Yeah. Go fuck yourself.
But guess what? There were plenty of people that had it on and wore it proudly.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.
I'm a COVID commando, or whatever the fuck it said, and I'm just like, yeah, no.
Yeah,
I might go commando, but I ain't gonna be a COVID commando. Sorry.
And then they go on, social media, and they're like, "Look at me and what I'm doing for the world."
Right,
Fuck
our heroes, our first line heroes, and all that. I mean, I'm just saying, that's the kind of shit that does pump up everyone's fucking head.
Yep.
And it's not like it. It just came out of nowhere. I mean, that's the kind of shit that does it.
There are real heroes, and I'm gonna shout out two of them, not namely, but they know if they're listening, they know what they did. There was a local agency that were called Heroes the other day on a Facebook post. One is both of them are veterans. I believe one of them is a Navy veteran. The other is a Army or Marine veteran. And they pulled over the ambulance to reset up a flag that had fallen.
Nice.
Oh, see? Right
Those are heroes. The fact that they just did a call are not heroes. But the fact that they did that for somebody that they had absolutely no idea just because it's the right thing to do, that's a hero to me. So they get a shout out.
Yep. 100%.
Like, they get money.
100%. They deserve $1 million for that.
They deserve $1 million for that. Will they get it? No. But
Not
they
for
deserve
me.
it. Well, I mean, I'm deserving of $1 million a day. So give me a week and I'll be a $7 million nair.
So you can afford $2 million for each of them.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
mean, and that's the other thing. I don't want to take away, some of the things that, some things we do, I said do, are actually, I wouldn't go to the point of saying heroic, but are pretty goddamn impressive, in their own right. So yeah, there's times when we do some really impressive shit, and you walk away and you're like, wow, that was fucking awesome.
But that's it. Like, I have never once considered myself a hero for doing medicine.
Right, bingo.
Like doing a job that I'm getting paid for?
Like,
right,
that's
yeah.
it. Like,
there's times where we do shit and it's like, wow, that fucking shit actually works. Holy crap,
Right, you're impressed by it. Like, it's really cool to see when you can evaluate somebody and picking a treatment plan and going with that treatment plan and then seeing the treatment plan actually work. And it's like, okay, that was cool. And it was impressive because I took what I knew, I applied what I knew, and I learned from what I knew, and everything worked out perfectly. But I don't sit there and I don't pat myself on the back and go, hey, honey, want to sleep with a hero tonight?
Right?
Like,
should I wear the cape or not?
Right. Like, I don't do that. And again, it just comes down to the expectation that we have set as a profession. It really does.
Right. And like a great example, my personal, one of my personal examples, is one that Justin and I had done with a pediatric, and the kid was in not so good shape when we got him, and mom rode with us, and I'm doing my thing in the back, he's doing his thing up front, rolling with the lights on and doing a good job getting us there, in one piece, and after the call, we was okay, thank God that turned out okay. That was pretty awesome. The kid was in better shape when we left him off than we got him. And then mom shows up like 2 weeks later and bringing cookies and pastries and like all these things. Oh, you guys are so great. And I ended up talking with her, and she was like, "Oh, you were just so awesome, and you guys are heroes." And I was like, no, my ass was freaking puckered. I literally told her, I said, I was actually shitting my pants. She goes, really? I was like, oh, yeah.
Didn't you smell it?
I was like, go look at that ambulance. You ain't going to see the seat cushion.
Yeah. But
that's the thing. And like, to the public, and I don't want to, fault them for it, because I want them to, be, thankful for, the things that we do for them, because, I'm not going to tell them, oh, fuck you, keep your thanks. But yeah, no, I was a real human being. I was scared shitless, but, we did our job, and it turned out pretty cool, and it worked out good. And the little kid was right there, with her, and we got to, hang out, take a little picture with him and stuff. It was fun. And it's one of the, like, my happier memories of doing EMS. And so stuff like that is really cool if you accept it for what it is.
Yes.
Don't take it and go, ha, they called me a fucking hero. I'm getting my cape right now.
Right, and that's
right.
it. Be human about it. Like, we're all human. We only are as good as our human nature can make us and allow us. And, if it's really easy to get a big head, and, at times there's going to be things that try and make that bigger, and
Stay
you just
humble.
you just have to sit there and go, you know what? Yeah, I was just a person doing a job. Like, I get uncomfortable when people tell me thank you. Like, I really do. Like, it's 100%.
I do too.
Yeah, 100% real. Like, I'll be sitting in the, in uniform.
I hate it.
In like a grocery store or whatever, and I'm just checking out, and someone will come up to me and be like, "Thank you for your service." I don't know what to say to that. Truly, because it's uncomfortable. Like,
I always say it's my pleasure.
Yeah, see, like, that sounds dickish to me.
And somebody told me last night at work. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying I had the same problem, and I was taught a phrase by somebody else, and I use it now all the time.
Oh, give it.
They say thank you for your service. I say thank you for your support.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, I'm
using
that.
Done.
See,
Done.
I always, my go-to is, oh, you don't need to thank me, but, like, thanks anyway.
That's what I say. Like,
you
don't need to thank me, but it's my pleasure to help you.
Yeah. Like
somebody last
right.
night was, I took care of their mom or something, and they're like, "Oh, you were amazing. Thank you so much." And I was like, "It's my pleasure to take care of your mom. I'm glad everything worked out."
Yeah.
Goodbye. Get out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great too.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, but yes, something along those lines, so you're not telling them like they're stupid for thanking you,
Right. Yeah.
How dare you?
How dare you?
Right?
Yeah,
How
it's
dare
true,
you say
like-
thank you and bring me these cookies?
But seriously, it is definitely a very
No, bring
uncomfortable
cookies.
moment.
Always bring cookies.
And it keeps you humble, and you kind of just need to, stay that way.
Yeah.
It's really easy to fall into the expectation of we're all heroes that, do all these amazing things. And it's like, okay, you keep saying that, boss man, and I'll just keep not believing it because we're not, but it's fine, and that's kind of the way you have to look at it, and the more people that you can convince to think like that, I think the better off we'll be, because then providers are looking for a different expectation and not just demanding that we be treated as these amazing people that we're not really, So anything, Kelsey, we lost her. She, her internet crapped out like 10 minutes ago, and then she had to leave. So we can't hear her final thoughts, but do you guys have any final thoughts before? I know, right? Before we head on out here, I think these two piggybacked was a really good discussion to have. So thank you, Gerard, for last episode, and then this one again. I think people needed to hear it.
Yeah,
and
like
hopefully,
I said, I hope they don't take it the wrong way, like we're trying to shit all over their bagel or anything. I just it's something that I think we all need to just take a look at and pay more attention to.
Agreed. And I think the whole purpose of this show and what we do, the four of us together, is to bring light to some subjects that maybe people don't want to talk about. We're brave enough to sit there and speak exactly what EMS needs, and not just complain about it, but offer solutions to it. It's one thing to sit there and moan and groan about it, but it's another thing to actually sit there and be like, why don't we do this? Right? And I really do hope that people that listen to this go, you know what? Those motherfuckers, they're on to something. And take it and go, you know what? Even if I can't change, like
the profession,
my profession or my agency or whatever, I can change myself.
Right.
I can, as Emily would say, do better and change yourself and go forward, because, there's always that shining light in every agency. If you're that shining light, maybe other people will pick off of that, and then, we all get better. So.
Yeah, I'll leave you with an old Shakespearean quote.
Ooh.
This, above all, to thine own self be true. Think about it.
That gets a macho man.
Hey, I don't drop Shakespeare every now and again, so
Nope.
take it away you can get it.
It was
Before I go back to general awards jokes and shit,
All right, guys.
Yeah, I haven't talked about tossing a salad recently, so hey,
That's true. We haven't done a prison episode in a while. But guys, we'll see you next time. Enjoy the month, and thank you again for all of the support. Share all that stuff if you find it useful on Facebook and Instagram. It really helps to, grow everything, and, just being able to share free information is what this whole platform is built on. So if you do find something that is worth your while, do share it, and someone else will probably sit there and go, hey, that's fucking awesome. So till next time, guys, stay strong.
Some very grateful donuts.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you'd like more information on the podcast or to send us a call to review, visit medicmaterials.com/podcast. To learn more information, like us on Facebook at Medic Materials EDU, or watch our weekly instructional videos on the Medic Materials YouTube channel.